Hello fan editors and fans of fan edits alike. I'm Baliscon here for the Fanedit Network, and today we're here to talk about George Lucas, father of Star Wars, the man, the myth, and the very first fan editor? Let's see. George Lucas created Star Wars in 1977 after years of development hell, but not in a vacuum. Sure, he was instrumental in creating new special effects departments since Hollywood had not caught up to what he could envision at that point, but the magic on screen is as much born to the contributions of artists like Ben Burtt and his sound design, Phil Tippett and Dennis Muren and their special effects, along with the entirety of Industrial Light and Magic, along with the editing of none other than Marcia, former wife of George Lucas.
If I am the father of the Matrix, she would undoubtedly be its mother.
Speaking of edits, 20 years after creating Star Wars, George Lucas went and he did a fan edit of his own babies. Citing advances in digital effects, Lucas claimed that Hollywood had finally caught up with his creative vision. Special effects shots were notably improved, along with some new CGI sequences added. And by some, I mean a lot. Like way a lot. Way too many. I'm not the first person to damn Lucas for inclusions that some would find less than savory, but today we're not here to punch down on George Lucas, despite the fact that he continually twisted the knife, release after release, and has barred HD versions of the original Star Wars trilogy theatrical cuts from ever seeing the light of days, even after selling his IP and all of his effects companies to Disney. We're not here to talk about that today. No, we're here to ask if George Lucas is the father of fan edits. Now, he didn't create the very first fan edit. Hell, my cousin Bingus has been trying to make a quality version of Highlander 2: The Quickening using different VHS releases. He's still trying to do that to this day. When I say that George Lucas is the father of fan edits, I mean that he sort of innovated the trend and allowed for the technology that fan editors use to create their vision today. To contend with the limitations of the special editions, the fan community responded right away with editions of their own, releasing their preservations of the original theatrical cuts on Laserdisc, or trying to make crude VHS upscales. With the internet becoming more accessible in the late 90s, the timing was perfect for online communities to grow. Possibly the widest known response to George Lucas's subsequent visions are Harmy's despecialized editions. These provide one of the best alternative options to experience the original untouched cuts of the trilogy through the combination of Blu-ray special editions along with numerous sources of the original films that he has fastidiously edited to match HD footage. He even recently begun including footage from another fan edit project, 4K77, which has involved cleaning up footage from one of the most pristine film negatives of Star Wars. Not A New Hope, but Star Wars. The Star Wars. A Star Wars story. A Star Wars story. It's hard not to let my bias show through. But anyway, the growth in fan editing wasn't just caused by Lucas's decisions as a filmmaker, but in how he developed filmmaking technology as a whole.
Said, I'm going to take my money and my time, I'm going to fix it. And we went to Sony and we said, we would like to help you, work with you to build a digital camera.
Starting early on in the late 80s even with the Edidroid, Lucas eventually invited the Knoll brothers, inventors of Photoshop, to join ILM, and their work is instrumental in allowing consumers to have non-linear editing programs. Since then, the tools necessary to read, cut, edit, and process media files have not only become easy to attain and operate on a consumer level, but in most cases they're free. I made my first 6 fan edits using the free version of DaVinci Resolve.
Warning, the following is not approval for you to create your own fan edits if you are uncultured lutefisk.
Without George Lucas making the push to continually innovate filmmaking technology from before the conception of Star Wars, we fans may very well not have had the tools available to edit in the first place. But more important than the initial fan response to George Lucas's special editions and the technology that he innovated is the fact that George Lucas fan edited his own movie. And that's kind of awesome. Now, they're not good, but neither is every fan edit submitted to the forums and subreddits. But ostensibly, he is, or at least was, a fan of Star Wars, and he had the opportunity to execute his vision, wielding the best tools at his disposal. that passion is at the heart of every fan editor, and that's something that you have to respect. His cuts aren't my go-tos, not by a mile. I prefer HAL 9000s. I think they're just the best blend of the original films, but the inclusions that George Lucas made that actually contribute well, like some of the special effects shots. So the next time that you want to qualm George Lucas for his bastardization of the original Star Wars films, just remember that he, like the rest of us, is a fan, and he wanted to improve his vision. And maybe if he allowed us to, watch the original Star Wars films legally, that would be nice. But again, we're not here to talk about that today. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me today. I've been Baliscon for the Fanedit Network. Join us anytime for a look at cinema through a different lens.